the Bandwagon. You guys are awesome, man.
This is Perry Ellis, and welcome to the Bandwagon.
In today's episode of the Bandwagon.
No, I'm just trying to say, I think you should hire us because we're deceptively quick. We bring our lunch pails to work every day, and we got great work ethics.
Former Kansas Jayhawk Perry Ellis joins the show.
You know, at first it was annoying, man. Maybe late, it was sophomore year, maybe I started coming around. But I do look older. I can't help how I look. I look older. And then, playing at Kansas, man, we're on TV all the time. And like you said, going back to consistency, I was a consistent player, so that would put me in the eyes of them,
And
it's a philosophical one. Is life fake?
Wow.
How deep?
See, remember when you were a kid, Vic, and you played with action figures, and you always thought like maybe like there was bigger people playing with us, like we were action figures. Did you ever have that thought?
Never once in my life.
let's get to it.
Singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet. Blow rockin' Robin, 'cause we really gonna rock 'em tonight.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today is Monday, January 15th, 2018. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's edition of the Bandwagon, a sports podcast. Great show for you today, as former Kansas Jayhawk basketball star Perry Ellis joins the show. He might be like 100 million years old, but we're not really sure, Vic. From Titletown, USA, Green Bay, Wisconsin, my name is Alex Strouf. You can find me on Twitter at Alex_Strouf, STROUF. Joining me, as always, from the University of North Carolina Podcast Lab, my right-hand man, my partner in crime, the birthday boy over the weekend, Mr. Victor Hensley. You can find Vic on Twitter at Freezeal, FREZEAL33 on Twitter. Mr. Victor.
How are you, my friend?
I am doing fantastic. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It did. It went very well. It got some good football. Actually, the football on my birthday was terrible.
Yeah, it was. It was really bad.
Yeah. So it really wasn't a very good birthday present. But anyway, had a great weekend. Had a great birthday, and here we are.
Here we are on Monday the 15th. Happy to hear you had a great birthday.
Thank you.
But let's talk about that football. Let's go the opposite of the actual order it went. Let's start with the final game, the Saints and the Vikings. It goes down to the very last second. Stephon Diggs, the clutch man, gets his hand down on the grass and runs all the way to the end zone for a Vikings touchdown, wins the game. What a game, Victor.
We said this was going to easily be the best game of the weekend.
We said that on our Twitter previews, Vic. Yeah, we said that on our Twitter previews that this would easily, you said it, quote for quote, this will easily be the game of the weekend. And it absolutely was. Went down to the wire, and what a finish.
Game of the season by far. Vikings went out to a 17-0 lead. It seemed like it was over, but it wasn't.
Exactly, it wasn't. And then your Super Bowl pick, the Saints, crawled back, tie game.
Man.
Or they were up by 24-23, I believe was the score. And then the Vikings, all of a sudden, as time expired, Stephon Diggs, 61 yards as time expired. Incredible.
Insane.
It was just nuts.
And listen, if any of y'all haven't heard that play, haven't seen it, haven't heard it, you got to listen to it. You got to watch it. It was an insane play, the Minneapolis Miracle. So here's what I'm going to do. I got 3 calls for you, Alex. I got the Joe Buck call, national TV call. I got the Vikings call by Paul Allen, and I got the New Orleans Saints radio call. Which one you want to hear first?
Let's go national TV first, and move me to the Minneapolis radio one.
All right, here it is. It's Fox.
This is Fox. Good
NFL
call. Good call. Yep.
Call by Joe Buck.
It's going to be where Keenum's going to try to work the ball on the boundary. Keenum steps into it. Pass is caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
That was pretty good, if I do say so myself.
I would agree. Yes, that was, as you said, unbelievable. Yeah, that really was unbelievable.
So now, would you rather have the sad part from the Saints, or would you rather hear the Vikings?
Let's go happy first. Give me the Vikings.
Okay, happy first. This is Paul Allen on a Minnesota Vikings radio with the call.
Bounds are running out the back of the end zone. I mean, wow, just a big mistake. You just got to be able to, you got to take advantage of it when they do that kind of stuff.
10 seconds to go. 24-23 Saints. Vikings at their own 39. It's third down. 3 receivers right, Thielen left. Marshawn Lattimore 12 yards from Adam. Case on a deep drop, steps up in the pocket. He'll fire to the right side, caught by Diggs. Stay up! Oh, he got loose! Oh, my God! 30, no way! Touchdown! Are you kidding me? Miracle finish! It's a Minneapolis miracle! Stephon Diggs and the Minnesota Vikings have walked up on the New Orleans Saints.
Right there is when it was dubbed the Minneapolis Miracle.
Yeah, you're right.
One of the
Paul
best radio
Allen
calls
with
I've
a
ever heard in my
fantastic
life.
Fantastic call by Paul Allen
man.
on the Minnesota Radio Network. Yeah, it really was the Minneapolis Miracle. Now let's get depressed together, Vic. Me and you together. We're going to get depressed.
All right. This is the
let's hear the New Orleans call
Saints.
on the other side.
New Orleans Saints radio call of the Stephon Diggs touchdown.
And 10 from the Viking 39. Precious seconds left on the clock. The Vikings need a completion and an apparent field goal attempt. Here's Keenum, dropping, looking, throwing near sideline, and it's caught by Stephon Diggs. He's going to take it inside the 15, 10, 5, touchdown on the final play of this game. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? He could have came up and just tackled him. He stuck, put his head down, and he didn't step out of bounds, Jim. They're going to review it, but he didn't step out of bounds.
That just doesn't make you feel good.
No, it really doesn't. When I said let's get depressed, I wasn't kidding. But seriously, I love how they both said, "Are you kidding me?" Both Paul Allen and the New Orleans guy.
I think what makes it worse is you hear the beginning of the Saints call, and you hear him say, "Precious seconds left on the clock," or something like that, 3rd and 10, or whatever it was. And you know in their minds, there's 10 seconds left. They're not even really that close to field goal range. Like, it's over.
Right.
You know, in these people's minds, probably 99% of Saints fans' minds, this game was over.
It was.
And to have that happen.
I'm not even a Saints fan, Vic, and I thought this one was over.
Exactly. And for someone whose team was eliminated from the playoffs with a play just like this, except for it wasn't exactly a walk-off, I can sit here and say to New Orleans Saints fans everywhere, I am so sorry.
You are so sorry indeed.
I'm so sorry.
What a game regardless, though. Seriously. Great effort by the New Orleans Saints.
Fantastic.
I thought they were going to make the Super Bowl, as did you. And I thought it was going to be Falcons-Saints in the NFC Championship game. I got both those picks wrong. So let's go to an AFC game quick. The AFC game of Sunday. Jacksonville-Pittsburgh. That was a fantastic game as well. 45-42 your final. Jacksonville with the upset, Vic. You picked this one. I did not. I had the Pittsburgh in the non-upset. You had Jacksonville in the upset. And they pulled it up. They came up strong, 21-0, your initial score. In the second quarter, it was 21-0, Jacksonville leads. And then your final, obviously, 45-42.
Yeah, what'd I tell you? I told you Pittsburgh is overrated, man. They're overrated. They came out and wet the bed in their only playoff game. I told you. I told you.
They wet the bed indeed, Vic. That was a good expression. I like that. But seriously, I'm really liking this Jacksonville matchup against New England. You know, they've got guys that can match up with Gronkowski, who went off in that game against Tennessee that I'm sure we'll touch on very slightly. But it was good to see Jacksonville. I had the Byron Leftwich jersey on all day. It was good to see Jacksonville get the W.
And you know what? After a terrible showing against the Buffalo Bills, how in the world do you come out and drop 45 on Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh? It was unbelievable. Blake Bortles played fantastically. Leonard Fournette is the man. He had what, 3 touchdowns in this game? I mean, that defense is unreal. It's a lot of fun in Jacksonville right now. A lot of fun in Saxonville.
A lot of fun in Saxonville. You keep calling them that. You've picked them the last 2 weeks. You've gotten them both right. Now they're going. Fantastic game nonetheless. I don't understand the Pittsburgh decision at the end of the game to kick the ball just regularly, but we won't touch on that. Great win by Jacksonville. Great game by Jacksonville overall. Blake Bortles actually played like a decent quarterback in his his second playoff start. Now let's go to the other AFC game, which was on Saturday. New England just absolutely crushes Saturday night. New England just absolutely crushes Tennessee. It wasn't a game ever. Tom Brady showed to be Tom Brady. The controversy in New England clearly didn't show through. 35-14, your final out of that one. There's really not much to say. Anything you want to touch on for that game?
People talk about some of the calls in that game. There was a call when there was, it was tied 7-7. There was a big call that ended up, helping New England score.
You're
really,
right, that punt
I guess
call.
taking a touchdown away from Tennessee. Eric Decker's, I think it was an Eric Decker pass or whatever it was. We can talk about the bad calls all day. At the end of the day, Tennessee lost by a lot of points.
Yeah.
They lost by a lot of points. And
yes, they did.
No one call was going to change that. Tennessee, honestly, I feel bad for saying this. They didn't really deserve to be there. I would say the same thing about Buffalo, though. These are just two teams that since they play in the AFC and how weak the AFC has been, they were just able to kind of, luck into a playoff spot, essentially. So, it is what it is. I at this point, New England will actually face a good test against Jacksonville. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to that. We're probably going to predict that on the next show, I would assume.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to that AFC Championship game because that defense, that Jacksonville defense going up against Tom Brady is going to be a blast. That's going to be a fun game, man. A lot of fun.
Vic, if Jacksonville can actually make it to the playoffs, it's going to be so refreshing.
The Super Bowl, but yes. A Jacksonville, Minnesota Super Bowl. At this point, imagine a Jacksonville, Philadelphia Super Bowl.
Exactly.
It's going to be insane. And
I've said it.
We can touch on the Philly-Atlanta game real quick.
Go ahead.
I mean, that game wasn't really much of anything either.
It was close. It was close, but it didn't feel like it was.
It was close. No, and the first half, was pretty decent, and then the second half was just blah. It wasn't really that exciting of a game, and I mean, just like New England and Tennessee, Saturday football wasn't good. But regardless, I told you, man. I told you. Everybody's picking against Philly. Everybody's pulling for Atlanta. Atlanta was favored. All that stuff. I'm telling you, just because Philadelphia has Nick Foles at the helm doesn't mean they're a bad football team. They showed it on Saturday. That people want to say, you know what, they don't have Carson Wentz, so they're done. No, Nick Foles is a competent quarterback. He's capable of putting in work and getting W's.
Right.
I mean, I think he had a season, a couple of years ago where he had 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like, this dude is a good quarterback. People just need to give him a shot, and he's playing the NFC title game. And Matt Ryan's not, Drew Brees is not, Cam Newton is not, Nick Foles and Case Keenum are. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Imagine that. Nick, I thought about this earlier, and we predicted all the divisions in August when we were doing our shows, and none of us picked Case Keenum versus Nick Foles for a ride to the Super Bowl, Vic. How weird is this, looking at it? Case Keenum versus Nick Foles. The quarterbacks in the NFC Championship are Case Keenum and Nick Foles, Victor.
Here's a tweet that I saw earlier from Zach Berman. Not sure who the guy is. Maybe you know him.
Shout out to him.
It's a tweet that says, Eagles traded Nick Foles to Rams for Sam Bradford. Foles lost his job in St. Louis. Case Keenum takes over. Eagles draft Carson Wentz and trade Bradford to Minnesota. Vikings sign Keenum, who replaces injured Bradford. Foles returns to Philly, replaces injured Wentz. Now it's Foles versus Keenum.
Wow.
It seems like friends. Bradford, Keenum, Foles have just all been intertwined into this crazy quarterback. I'm gonna trade you here. I'm gonna trade you here. I'm gonna release you. I'm gonna sign you. It's insane. It's just crazy at the end of the day. In a league where we talk about how great and how important quarterback play is, 3 of the 4 quarterbacks playing for a potential Super Bowl title are Blake Bortles, Case Keenum, and Nick Foles. How unreal is that?
It truthfully is insane. Blake Bortles as well. The quarterback we talked about in the last show and during our Twitter previews, I called him not good enough to win a divisional game. Well, he did, and I mean that was definitely help from his defense and his backfield. Leonard Fournette had a great game. Let's not forget that. But shout out to Chris Ivory, by the way, who we didn't know was still in the league, by the way. I mean, he wasn't active in this game, but we said a couple months ago, we didn't know he was still in the league. He was our number one in our Take 5 a couple months ago for players we still didn't know were in the league. He was our number one or number two for both of us, and wasn't active, but now he's going to the AFC Championship. Hopefully will be active for that game. But anyway, Blake Bortles, Case Keenum, and Nick Foles are 3 of your 4 quarterbacks, the fourth being Tom Brady, playing for championships. It's insane to me.
And at this point, you have to sit here and say, at the end of the day, in an offensive-driven league, or what people say is an offensive-driven league, defense matters. Potentially, the 2 best defenses are playing for a potential Super Bowl title, Jacksonville and Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like, they're here. Like, defense does matter. So, we don't have Aaron Rodgers. We don't have Drew Brees. We don't have any of those guys here playing on championship weekend, next weekend.
No, you're absolutely
correct. None of those guys. The only guy we have is the same guy we've always had in Tom Brady.
Exactly. And you know what they say, Vic?
It's crazy.
And you know what they say? Defense wins championships. And a guy that was good on the defensive guest is the guy joining us now. His name is Perry Ellis. Attended Kansas University for like 104 years. He's got to be older than both of us combined times 6. So Perry Ellis, former Kansas Jayhawk basketball player, now playing over in the beautiful land of Australia, Vic, is joining us now on the bandwagon. We are joined now by former Kansas Jayhawk, one of my favorite of all. It seemed like he was there in eternity. He was there for 4 years. We'll get that out of the way right away. He now plays over in Sydney, Australia for the Sydney Kings. His name is Perry Ellis. Perry, thanks for joining us today on the bandwagon.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, no problem. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing the same. But we'll jump right into Australia. So you're in the middle of what is it called? The National Basketball League, I believe.
Yes, yep, it is. National Basketball League, NBL.
Right. So it seems to be going well for you personally. You're averaging about 15 and 5 rebounds a game. Your team's at a league worst 5 and 15 through 20 games. So I guess I have 2 questions off that. Number 1, are you enjoying playing ball out there? And number 2, what's the quality and type of basketball like overseas?
I am, man. I'm enjoying it, man. It's definitely been rough going so far. You know, we've had many people come and go, a new team, you know, and injuries also really hurt us a lot this season. But overall, man, I really like it. And this competition's good over here, man, and I feel like I'm definitely getting better.
You know, and there's one thing. It seems like if you ask any normal American, you know, or just most Americans on the street, nine people out of 10 would say, if you ask them where they most wanted to go in the world, 9 out of 10 would say, you know, I want to go to Australia. So, do you think that Australia really lives up to the hype? How great is it?
I really like it, man. I came at a good time, so I'm getting another summertime, so I didn't get no cold weather, so it was different having a
lucky guy.
A warm Christmas. That was really weird. But man, I really like the beaches. Are beautiful, man. You know, the beach is one of the coolest things I think, man. The scenery around those areas, but I really enjoy it so far, man. And it's something I definitely will come back to do.
So let's jump into what we know you from the best, at least, and that would be your career at Kansas. Let's just jump into, you know, you weren't the flashiest player, you weren't always the biggest name on the court, but you were always, and I think you'll definitely agree with this, incredibly consistent and gave the team what they needed night after night and after night. So what do you think contributed to your consistency? And it's obviously carried over overseas, averaging 15 and 5, like I mentioned before.
Yeah, man, it was just something I always, in my mind, I was like, man, I don't want to be up and down, you know. I want to try to be consistent, man. So, I mean, yeah, like my game wasn't real flashy. I just did what I had to do, you know. And one thing was putting the ball in the hole was something I was good at, you know. And it was just something I just always try to attack every game and just try to be consistent, you know. It was just a kind of a mindset, you know. You just got to go out there and do what you do. You know what you can do.
And you're obviously a huge fan favorite there in Kansas. So when you walk around on the streets of your home state in Kansas, when you walk around Wichita, wherever you may be, what do the fans say to you? Do they recognize you, and what do they say to you?
Yeah, man, they do. Like a thing that said a lot, is like, man, I just love the way you carry yourself. And, that's the coolest thing to me, man. It's bigger than basketball, just goes to show how well my parents raised me, man. And I just give them all the credit for how they did that.
How cool is it, growing up as a kid in Kansas from Wichita, and then going to, the home state college? Like, I live in Wisconsin, so if you're growing up wherever in Wisconsin, you go to the University of Wisconsin. You went to the University of Kansas. You had a great career. So how cool is that, looking back on it, and even as a kid in high school when you committed to Kansas, how cool was that?
Man, it was the coolest thing, man. First of all, family, close enough to family, they can come to all the games. And you just know so many people. I'm from Kansas, so I know so many people around there. And just the environment was good to be around, a lot of familiar faces, and just a lot of love was shown.
And you obviously got to play for one of the most legendary coaches in college basketball, Bill Self. So we know how great he is. We know how amazing he can be as a coach. So I want to know, what is a Bill Self story that someone else might not, that the average person might not know?
Self story. That's a tough one, man, on the spot. That's something I got to kind of think about.
That's what we like to do on the show. We like to make you think.
That's what we like to do on the show. We like to make you think.
To stimulate the mind.
We like to stimulate the mind.
Yeah.
Stimulate the mind. I guess, like, how was he in practice? Like, is he the same that we see on game day, or?
So what's kind of what do you kind of perceive him as, like, when you watch him? Like, what's your kind of, what do you think? Like,
I feel like is he hard on you guys? Is he like really hard on you guys? Like more than like your average college coach, you think?
It's okay. He can be, but if you're doing, if you're not doing what he wants you to do, like it's something to where I don't know, man. Like so me, I'm a quiet person,
right?
And how I adjusted to it. I actually liked when he got on me a lot, man. From freshman to junior year, senior year, it was, it wasn't much, but it really helped me as a player, to compete and get even better. I can get even better, and it just kind of was like that.
Right, and I guess going off of Victor's question, like, was there ever a time where he got on you, maybe like your freshman year, where you thought to yourself, "Damn, this guy's really kind of an asshole"?
Freshman year was tough, man. I didn't get going. I didn't really get playing well till late, like almost like the conference tournament, So
okay.
Beforehand, it was tough in practice, People, teammates was going at me, and coach was just like, "Man, what are you doing? Like, just always on me, like you're better than this," and stuff like that, And it really helped me realize, and it got me better to the point to where like I had confidence in myself there. That's just kind of how it spun out.
And you just had a fantastic career overall at Kansas. I mean, you could tell how much you progressed and how confident you really got. So you had a chance really to leave Kansas, after maybe your second or third year, and maybe test the NBA draft waters. Why did you decide to stay at Kansas?
Yeah, I would say where I kind of thought about it the most was probably, would it be maybe after my junior year. I was playing so well at the end of the season, but then I had sprained my MCL late in the season, so that kind of was like a sign. I was like, man, I think I need to come back, man, because I'm just not ready. I just don't feel confident, leaving there, and not having the confidence in your knee, like you want to play how you want to play. So I was just like, man, I don't think I'm ready, man. So I said, man, it won't hurt to come back again and try to get even better.
So me and Victor were talking about it a little bit before we called you up and while we were prepping for the interview. And we're trying to figure out why everybody thought you were at Kansas for 100 years. Like the USA Today published an article that said everybody is freaking out because they think I think you were, a junior or senior at the time, because I think Perry Ellis has been there for 100 years. So a two-part question. Number one, why do you think everybody thought that? And B, how annoyed did you get of the Perry Ellis' old jokes?
At first it was annoying, man. Maybe late. It was sophomore year, maybe. I started coming around, but I think I do look older. I can't help how I look. I look older, and then playing at Kansas, man, we're on TV all the time, and like you said, going back to consistency, I was a consistent player, so that would put me in the eyes of
right,
me in the eyes of more people, and so they'll see me all the time. So I think all that goes into effect of why,
And possibly the other half being, you do have a couple of guys that are one and dones, or 2 years, or maybe even 3 years. You were there a whole 4 years. You think that has something to do with it, where you were a 3-year starter, and then I think it was mostly a 3-year starter, and you played some of your freshman year. You mentioned, you were there playing for like ever. It seemed like.
Yeah, that is something too, man. Because different batches of guys are coming and leaving, and
right.
Man, you played with him, like all these guys, different years. So it just. Yeah, that goes in it too.
And speaking of all those guys that you just mentioned that kind of just go in and out of there, you've played with some amazing players during your career at Kansas. You played with Joel Embiid, Andrew Wiggins, Frank Mason, Kelly Oubre, people like that. So I'm going to ask you a really tough question here. Who is the best teammate you've played with while you were at Kansas?
Best teammate, basketball-wise, or just like all around?
No, all around. I want to know all of it.
Best teammate. Okay, I would say I like playing with JoJo, man. JoJo, he was a cool dude, man. He had a lot of character, man. Just a smart player, and it was cool getting a chance to play with him for the short time.
Is he your favorite person to follow on Twitter?
Yeah, he's an entertaining dude, man. He is a very entertaining dude. Yeah, I definitely checking out all his posts.
You still in touch with him at all?
I talked to him. Last time I talked to him was last summer.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Okay, there's this one thing that's been bugging me about him for a little while. So he obviously grew up in Africa, right? So he mentioned, I don't know if he's ever told you this story, but I remember listening to an interview with him sometime last year. And he mentioned how he went and killed a lion with his bare hands when he was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that story?
Went around while he was just too,
do you believe that?
I have no clue, man. If that's real or not, man. I'm with you on that. I'm not sure.
When you were 8 years old, could you picture yourself going in and killing a lion with your bare hands?
Close to that thing.
So back to basketball, Perry. This past NBA preseason, you got to play a game in Utah against the Jazz as a member of your current team, the Kings, and you held your own against Rudy Gobert. So should NBA teams kind of look at that game and heavily consider you, or giving you a shot, rather?
Yeah, I definitely thought I played pretty well. It's tough, man. You just never know what can happen. It's all about timing, opportunity. It's just when the opportunity is given, But I'm just trying to just do my best. And, man, if there's ever an opportunity, I'll try to go compete again. But it's just tough to say, man. You just never know.
Right, and one of the opportunities you kind of got was last year you played in the D League, or I guess now the G League, with the Greensboro Swarm. So I just have a couple of questions. First off, how was that playing a full season in the D League with some of the the best college players out there? And second of all, how much did you love my pretty much hometown of Greensboro, North Carolina?
Hey,
how did it treat you?
Greensboro was a pretty cool. It reminded me of like back home in Kansas, pretty quiet, a pretty quiet city. So I adjusted pretty well. I enjoyed it there, but the D League, at first it took some adjusting to get into, man, because guys are always getting sent down from the NBA, to come up play on our team, then minutes are cut. So the thing I had to learn was, man, you always gotta be ready for whatever minutes given, because even just those little minutes, they're watching. So, but late in the season, I really started figuring it out, and I really started playing well.
So I have a question going back to college quickly. Nickname, man. Do people still call you the Blender? And what'd you think of that nickname?
Yeah, the Blender. They call me in here in Sydney, like on that little intercom before games and when they're announcing.
Oh, really?
It was cool, man. I mean, they just like in college, man. I always do spin moves, man. Spin moves.
Right.
So then the Blender just came about that, you know. But yeah, they stay here a little bit, but it's not how it was in college.
And how did you get? Who gave you the nickname, the Blender? Did Bill Self just randomly throw it out there? Was it from a fan? Where'd you first hear it?
It was, I believe it was my teammate, like Evan Manning or Tyler Self. I cannot remember how it came about. Like it just kind of clicked with one of my teammates, and it just started. Everybody started saying it. Put them in the Blender.
Right. And speaking of names, so there's two things we love on this show. It's confident answers and starting rivalries, right? So there's the whole fashion brand called Perry Ellis. There was the fashion designer named Perry Ellis. So I really just want to know, by the end of your life, are you going to be more successful than the fashion designer Perry Ellis?
Oh, man, that's tough, man. That Perry Ellis has been around for a while now, so I'm a humble dude, so we're separate and just keep them separate.
That's not a confident answer. That's not what we were looking for, man. But we saw on Twitter, a month or two ago, you were struggling with the new Call of Duty. So I do have to ask: have your COD skills improved since then?
Oh man, yeah, definitely, man. At first, I was like, man, I don't know about this. Man, like it takes too many shots,
Right.
But yeah, I'm good now.
Is that the video game you still play the most of, or did you get into like Fortnite at all, or what are you playing video games wise?
I'm on that Fortnite a lot, man. That's all I'm playing right now.
What's the best game you've had?
I would say, maybe like 10 kills. I play a lot of duos, so we just always win. Me and my boy, we just always win, and we'll win like 5 games back to back.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So aside from you being the new spokesperson for Fortnite and everything, I just thought about this. Is there any way, or has this already happened, that you could become like a model or a spokesperson for Perry Ellis?
Could we make that happen?
It was a deal coming out after I graduated, going pre-draft, where we did a little one year little deal, like where I got to get some suits and clothes and stuff of that sort.
Ooh.
But that was about it. It wasn't for sure like kind of where my career was headed, so they just wanted to just kind of a test. So I don't know, maybe later down the road again, do something. But that's all that was for now.
And I think this is my final thing. I just want you to do it. You got to do it real quick for me, if you don't mind. Give me your best Australian accent. Say whatever you want to say.
Oh, man. Australia. Man. Man, I'm trying to think of like a slang word they'll say to some of my teammates. Man. That's tough because people be trying to get me to talk like that too. Like my parents, my friends and stuff, man. I never can do it. Man.
Just throw it at us. Just whatever comes to mind, just throw it at us.
Just the typical good day, mate.
Good day, mate. Good day, mate.
It's all right, Perry. I'm awful at accents.
Yes, so. I can't do accents either. So he gave us his best shot. And Perry, we're glad you're enjoying Australia. It's a lot nicer down there than it is here in Wisconsin. But man, thank you so much for being so great with your time. We really appreciate you coming on today, and we hope to talk soon. Best of luck to you, Perry.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
We are back. Thanks again to Perry Ellis for joining us today on the Bandwagon. I bet Perry Ellis is pretty good at video games, Vic.
It appears like it. I'm not sure if I 100% believe him on some of those statistics he gave. about how good he is. But you know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
10 kills a game on Fortnite is impressive.
Very, very impressive.
Indeed.
I don't know how he does it.
Indeed, I agree. So let's move on to the long-awaited segment. It's been a couple weeks, but let's bring it back. You Ask, We Answer is back. Vic, would you like to explain?
Of course I would. So, obviously, if you've listened to the show before, even really just from the 30, 45 minutes you've listened to it already, I don't know what time we're at this point. But you can just tell that me and Alex ooze intelligence.
Ooze it.
And so we think of ourselves as being, intellectually superior to everyone. So we go to the epitome of knowledge, which is Yahoo Answers, of course.
Of course.
And we answer people's questions. We pull some of our favorites, some of the questions that need the answering the most. And considering 77% of the questions on Yahoo Answers are about Trump, Hillary, and libtards, or something like that, or whatever that means. We ignore all those questions. We get down to the nitty gritty, really important questions. So I've got a few of them here for us. If you're ready, Alex.
I'm ready. Always born ready.
All right. Our first question. Why the Minnesota Vikings going to the 2017 NFC Championship game thanks to Stephon Diggs? Question. Why the Minnesota Vikings going to the 2017 NFC title game thanks to Stephon Diggs and his game-winning touchdown in the 2017 NFC divisional round this 2018? You ready, Philadelphia Eagles?
So I actually have a question. So, it's usually they ask,
okay.
We answer. It's more like I have a question they should probably answer. What the hell did they just say?
Well, if you must know, they said, why the Minnesota Vikings going to the 2017 NFC Championship game thanks to Stephon Diggs? Question, why the Minnesota Vikings going to the 2017 NFC title game thanks to Stephon Diggs and his game-winning touchdown in the 2017 NFC divisional round this 2018? You ready, Philadelphia Eagles? How is that a question?
The epitome of knowledge, man.
I mean, I guess asking if the Philadelphia Eagles are but the question is, why the Minnesota Vikings going to the 2017 NFC Championship game thanks to Stephon Diggs? How is that a question? Literally, that would not be a question if you didn't put why at the beginning. He just said the statement.
Yeah, that's a good point. They answered their own question within their question. That's important.
That's like if you said, why the New England Patriots win Super Bowl 51 because Atlanta blew a 28-3 lead. That's like you write the headline and then just put why at the beginning. Doesn't make sense.
Fair point.
We're moving on. How many points? This is before the Steelers-Jags game, and I just want to bring it up because it makes me laugh because it didn't happen. How many points will the Steelers destroy the Jaguars by?
Yeah, my response to that is at Old Takes Exposed.
Yeah, there you go. Get our boy on the case. Yeah, that's bad. They didn't destroy him at all, sir.
Shout out to Fred.
I'm sorry. Shout out to Fred. At Old Takes Exposed on Twitter if you want to hit him up. Next up. Is Beyonce going to buy the Carolina Panthers?
It's a good question. So my response to this is, do you feel like if Beyonce bought a team, would that team become like a club or like an eHarmony? Because how every team has the Wisconsin Badgers, the Wisconsin Badgers have their jump around, right? Every team has like that hit song. Now, the Steelers have Renegade by the Styx that pumps them up. What if the Panthers had all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, now put your hands up. So all the single ladies at the game would put their hands up, and that means all the guys would start crawling. Do you think maybe that team would turn into an eHarmony type?
Did you just say, I'm just trying to get this straight. Did you just say that if Beyonce were to buy the Carolina Panthers, then the Carolina Panthers would turn into eHarmony?
Yeah, it was a question. It was not a statement, but there's a possibility, I guess.
Okay, we're going to move on. Will they ever change the Super Bowl to Saturdays?
So the answer is no, they won't. But the question is, do you think it's a bad idea? Because maybe your hangovers can move into Sundays rather than half the world taking off on Mondays to cure their hangover.
No, I think it's stupid. Football is meant to be played on Sunday. It's Sunday's sport. You imagine calling it Super Bowl Saturday. That just doesn't sound right. College football is for Saturdays, even though the championship games are on Monday. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
College football is for Saturday. NFL is for Sunday. Like, if I'm going to propose anything, it's that the Monday after the Super Bowl should 100% be a national holiday.
It should be. You're
Everybody goes to Super Bowl parties. You don't even have to care about football. You're going to go to a Super Bowl party. Like, come on. At this point, we're what? This is our 52nd one coming up?
Yeah.
We should have made this a law, a federal law, a long time ago. Step up your game, Donald Trump. Next up.
I like it.
This is a good one. This is my favorite.
Okay.
This is about our good friend Blake Bortles.
Okay.
Blake Bortles just... Okay, hold on. I got to read this like a question. Blake Bortles just quite all the haters up. Quite is spelled Quite.
Yeah.
Who would have thought Mr. Bortles outduels Ben Roethlisberger in his house every time they come closer? He had to answer. All the doubters owed him an apology, including Stevie A. Smith.
Stevie A. Smith, quite. Yeah, he
the
really.
grammar in this question.
That's usually what you get at the
Fantastic.
epitome of knowledge, Vic. A Yahoo Answers always has some great grammar.
That is true.
For us. But the answer is no. Blake Bortles did not quiet all the haters up.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. He didn't quite them just yet. But he might one day. If he gets that ring, he'll quite all the haters up.
That's true. Just like Joe Flacco did a couple years ago.
Next up. Yep. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about that later in the show. By the way, that's a foreshadowing.
That's a teaser. That's a teaser.
That's a tease for my bandwagon segment later on in the show. What would you do if you knew you'll die in 30 days?
See, this question reminds me of what would you do for a Klondike bar? Like, how low would you go?
Okay. Okay. All right. Sure. What's the answer?
I don't know. I don't have an
Okay,
answer.
first of all, the whole "what would you do for a Klondike bar" thing.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I hate those commercials. Like, legit, if I want a Klondike bar, I'm going to go to the store, buy one. I'm going to spend $2 and buy one. I'm not going to do anything extra for no Klondike bar.
Nothing
It's
extra?
literally ice cream wrapped in chocolate. Like, oh, wow, I could make that myself.
Could you?
If I really
this sounds
wanted
like a
to.
challenge.
It does. I'll put it on our Twitter. I'll make it my own Klondike bar.
Do it.
It doesn't. That's going to be my soapbox, I guess. I'm going to rant about Klondike bars and how stupid that slogan is. Anyway, to answer this man's question or woman's question, we don't discriminate on the show. If I knew I was going to die in 30 days, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably cry a lot.
No, yeah, that's true.
That's
That's a good point.
I would probably be pretty sad. Probably wouldn't get out of bed a lot. Anyway, let's move on.
Let us.
My favorite food is mashed potatoes. What do you think?
What do I think about this person's favorite food being mashed potatoes? Is that the question?
I think we're critiquing his favorite food, apparently.
Or
I guess.
hers. We don't
know.
discriminate, like you just said.
Or we don't discriminate on the show. I apologize.
We got to throw that out there. Good for him or her. Mashed potatoes are delicious. I'm a big mashed potatoes guy myself, actually.
Yeah.
You know,
Is that good enough to be your favorite food, though?
see, like we always talk about sometimes. I guess you and I do not personally talk about this, but it's brought up in many conversations. If you had to have one meal, and that'd be your final meal, what would it be? Would mashed potatoes be a part of your plate, if you will?
You know what? This is a hard one. I think if I had my final meal, if I was on death row, right, and they said, before we execute you, we're going to give you a final meal, graham crackers and applesauce might have to be mine.
Really?
Dude, I love applesauce. If anybody knows anything about me, if they need to know anything about me, it's that I love applesauce. That's my favorite food in the world. Graham crackers and applesauce all day. What do you think?
What do I think? I think that's an interesting choice. You might be the only person on the planet that chose that. Probably going to go with like spaghetti and meatballs for me.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I have some problems with that meal, but that's beside the point. Okay, I respect it. So mashed potatoes would not be a part of your meal.
Oh, they might be. That's hard, man. That's hard. Let's move on.
It is hard. Yeah, I think we're gonna explode our minds trying to think about it.
Yeah, this is true. That's a good point.
Next up, I'm 19. Am I an adult yet?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, when you turn 18, you're an adult. Timmy, come on. Or Tanya. We don't discriminate on the show.
Timmy or Tanya?
So, yeah, one of the two probably. Yeah. The next question really is my favorite question.
Okay.
Because I think we get to prove ourselves here.
Yeah. Before we move into that, let's talk about Podbean. Podbean, the great hosting site. If you're looking to start a podcast, I mean, starting a podcast, pretty easy. Finding a good host, not so easy. But don't worry, me and Victor found a good host. We've been doing this for what now, Vic? Probably 7 months, 8 months? We've used so many different hosts, and Podbean is the best one. That's a promise, hands down. You will not find one near it. Get 1 month free of hosting if you're looking to start a podcast by going to podbean.com/bandwagon. That's Podbean, podbean.com/bandwagon for 1 month of hosting, completely free if you're looking to start a podcast. Vic.
The next question, why should we hire you?
Ooh. You know,
there's no information on the company or anything.
Right.
But just why should we hire you?
What, Vic? You go ahead first. Why should we hire you?
You should hire me. Really, you should hire us, because let me just run down a couple of lists of our qualities. Number one, we're intellectually superior, as we mentioned before.
Yeah.
Number two, we're very entertaining. I think anybody that watches the show can tell we're very entertaining. We're hard workers. We put in that work. We got a great work ethic. We bring our lunch pail to the field every day. Whatever they say about the white NFL players and stuff. What else do they say about the white NFL players? We've got deceptive speed.
Are you racially discriminating right now?
That's really. No, I'm just trying to say. I think you should hire us because we're deceptively quick. We bring our lunch pails to work every day, and we got great work ethics.
I like it. I'm just gonna say
we're white.
You should hire me and you. So you should hire us, because who else would be fucking stupid enough to get this job? Go ahead.
Oh, wow. #roasted. Next up, what do you think of the name Stank for a boy?
Can you spell that for me?
STANK. Stank.
I think it's awful. That's hilarious, though. That'd be really cool. Like, imagine, like...
Would it be cool?
Vic, imagine rolling into first grade and they're yelling out, "Hey, yo, Stank, you here?" Actually, I don't think any teacher would sound like that. Let's try that again. Is Stank here? Is Stank here? And then some kid in the first grade, they pooped themselves, so they said, "How'd you know?" All right, I know that wasn't funny, but I tried.
I mean, that's really stupid. You really attempted that joke there. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Stank. You might could do something different.
Me neither.
With your name.
Yeah, maybe.
When you name your child. Next up, and finally, this is a good one. It's a philosophical one. Is life fake?
Wow.
How deep?
Wow. See, remember when you were a kid, Vic, and you played with action figures, and you always thought like maybe like there was bigger people playing with us, like we were action figures. Did you ever have that thought?
Never once in my life.
But have you thought about it that way, man? Like when you play with Legos, or maybe like I always play with the WWE action figures. Like when I was playing with them, I thought, wow, what if somebody's controlling me and I'm controlling action figures, but maybe they actually have brains and they're actually real and they're playing with different action figures that I can't even see.
What are you talking about?
Just a thought.
Okay, well, No, I haven't thought about that. When I play with action figures, I knew they weren't living because I could tell that they're lifeless, and I'm watching them. I'm making them go. You know, that was a fighting noise.
I like that. That's good. Yeah,
making them fight. Yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to sit in the kitchen and just. Yeah. That's all I got for you. That's all the epitome of knowledge gave us today.
Wow.
So
okay,
it wasn't much, wasn't great. Hopefully we can answer you guys' questions though. So, you know, we're here and we'll be here next week in case you guys have any more.
Shout out to Yahoo Answers.
Shout out.
Shout out. Let's move on. Let's get angry.
Oh, you know I'm ready to get angry.
You are always ready to get angry, so I'm going to let you take at it first. Go ahead.
All right.
Step on up, my friend. Step on up. Time for SoapBox, ladies and gentlemen. So, Victor.
SoapBox, baby.
So, Victor, go ahead. Step on up on that soapbox.
You know what? We've talked a lot about our good friend Stephon Diggs.
We have.
In this show. We had 3 different calls to the Stephon Diggs touchdown.
Yep.
And there's just one thing that's bothered me and a whole entire fan base, actually, for a little while now. As you know, I'm a big Baltimore Ravens fan, right? Stephon Diggs was drafted in 2015. Where'd he go to college, Alex?
I'm actually not sure.
He went to the University of Maryland.
Okay.
So he's a hometown kid, right? The Baltimore Ravens could have selected him in the 2015 NFL draft. He fell to the 5th round. They didn't select him. The Minnesota Vikings selected him. Where in the first round of that draft, the Ravens picked Brashad Perryman from UCF. Go Knights.
Go Knights.
And he has been absolutely garbage.
Wow.
Garbage. This past season, he was a healthy scratch for about 5 games. He was terrible. Just terrible almost all season. No offense, Brashad, but you didn't play well, haven't really ever played well. So Stephon Diggs had an opportunity to be in Baltimore. We finally could have gotten a good receiver in purple and black, and not the other purple that Minnesota's wearing. We had a shot, and we screwed it up. Alex, we screwed it up. Even Stephon Diggs' mother came out in an article and said this. You ready?
I'm ready.
She said, this is from an article. This is a Sports Illustrated article, and the quote is, "This cocksuredness comes as much from Stephanie, Diggs' mother, who was in Tampa last January to watch Trevon Diggs' brother play for the CFP championship when she ran into Ravens general manager Ozzie Newsome. And she said, 'You didn't pick my son,' she blurted out. 'They should fire your ass.'"
Wow.
That is what Stephon Diggs' mother said to Ozzie Newsome, the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
Ozzie! The cards were in your favor. The family wanted to come to Baltimore. He went to Maryland. We could have had Stephon Diggs. We could have been in the playoffs. We could have been the ones getting the 61 yards against the New Orleans Saints, even though we don't play in the NFC. We could have done that. That could have been us. Come on, Ozzie.
Come on, Ozzie.
I'm stepping down. Unreal. Wow.
Get it together,
wow.
Ozzie.
Wow. I don't even know what to say anymore. Wow. All right.
Get it together, Ozzie. Well, I guess it's my turn, but
okay.
You made me laugh. You made me laugh.
Yeah.
You made me laugh. So, yeah. All right, so Friday night, let's do a little stories. Friday night. Milwaukee Bucks, Golden State Warriors, BMO Harris Bradley Center, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Me and my friend Adam decided, hey, you know what? We're going to take a ride tonight. You know, I looked at the ticket prices earlier in the week, $9 a piece for the bad seats, okay? I'm like, okay, that's not too bad. But, of course, I slacked, Victor. You know I'm a slacker. That's me.
I do know that.
Yeah. And
you're not a lunch pail guy.
I'm not a lunch pail guy, but you said I was earlier, but that's fine. And I decided, you know what? We're going to take a ride to Milwaukee. Maybe we'll scalp some tickets. Maybe we'll pick them up last minute online. So as soon as we get driving, I start taking a look at some tickets. You know, $68 a piece for the bad seats that were $9 a couple days earlier. I'm thinking, oh no. So me and Adam, we stop at a Taco Bell just to, take a seat for a little bit, just outside of Milwaukee, suburb of Milwaukee. 7:15, that's 15 minutes after the game started, ladies and gentlemen. And the ticket prices are not going far, 58, 54, maybe, is your lowest. And finally, I refreshed StubHub, boom, $45 a piece. 15 minutes into the game already. I'm saying, all right, you know what, screw it. I'll buy them. So I bought two tickets for $45 a piece. Excuse me, I'm SeatGeek, not StubHub. And $45 a piece. Had a little promo code in there, and go ahead and get those down to $91 total for two tickets in the second to last row. Victor, $91 for two tickets, and we didn't get there through halfway through the second quarter. I slept on them, and it wasn't good. Yeah, not a good move. Okay, now I'm now $91 in the hole for probably the worst seats in the house. And then in my worst seats in the house, I get to watch Kevin Durant just go off. Victor, you know how I feel about Kevin Durant?
You hate that man with all your heart.
Yeah, I would say that's a good point. Yeah, I don't like Kevin Durant. And he goes ahead and just, dunks on Giannis and does some other things that didn't make me feel very good. So I hated Friday night, Victor, and I hate Kevin Durant. Ticket prices plus Kevin Durant equal a bad night. I'm stepping down.
That sounds terrible.
I struggle.
I honestly feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, dude, Alex, like you were talking to me throughout this whole thing, kind of, or you talked to me before you went down to Milwaukee, and I asked you, I was like, oh, well, where are your seats? Because I was gonna try to look for you on TV because that was an ESPN game, and I was like, I'll watch it, maybe look for you on TV a little bit, and you were like, oh yeah, well, we don't have tickets yet, and I said, oh, he said, yeah, we're probably just gonna try to scalp them.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that's gonna work out well. So I'm really glad you spent almost $100 for terrible seats to watch the Warriors, do very well against the Bucks.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant go off.
Yeah,
So
we don't talk about him.
you kind of deserve that.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, well. Yeah, sorry, bud. You've had better days.
I have indeed. So let's move to the final segment of our show, our signature segment, jumping on a bandwagon. Vic, who's going first?
You know what? I'm going to go first because I'm not that big of a fan of my bandwagon. We've talked a lot about it during the show. It seems like every show we have, I just have like a signature theme that I discuss. Like last week, I talked about college football almost the entire show.
Yep.
This week, I'm seemingly going to talk about Stephon Diggs and Blake Bortles and stuff like that the entire show.
Yep.
So here I am going to do it again. And once again, I'm going to mention the fact that I'm a Ravens fan. In 2012, we've talked about this a ton on the show. Joe Flacco's rise to eliteness, rise to greatness, where he still resides on that mountaintop today.
Yeah, I bet. Continue.
In that 2012 postseason, he became a god, became a legend. And that team, that Baltimore Ravens team in 2012, with the mile-high miracle with Jacoby Jones in Denver, and the way Joe Flacco played, they were obviously a team of destiny. I've talked about that before. Sometimes teams are just destined to win championships. It seems like in this NFL postseason, there's a lot of teams that are potentially destined to win this thing. The Vikings, with what just happened with Stephon Diggs,
wow,
they look like a team destined to win something. The fact, all the adversity that they've overcome at the quarterback position, all of that, Case Keenum, Stephon Diggs, these guys might lead them to the promised land. Look at Philadelphia. Even though they lost their star quarterback, even though people started to doubt them, they're still doing well and they have a chance to play for the NFC title and go to the Super Bowl. Nick Foles could be, the ones that lead them to, once again, the promised land.
The promised land.
And finally, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Blake Bortles, who I saw in a tweet earlier being compared to 2012 Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Even though Blake Bortles is not nearly as elite as Joe Flacco.
Neither
with the
of
way
them
that defense is playing. Okay, you can shut up, please, because one of them is.
It's Bortles.
And it's just the fact that it looks like the Jacksonville Jaguars could be a team of destiny. Had a terrible game against Buffalo, but then come out with a miraculous game against Pittsburgh. So I'm jumping on the bandwagon of destiny, Alex.
Ooh.
Because I don't know what's going to happen, but it seems like as long as it's not the New England Patriots, it's destiny for one of these teams. They're all three teams that just don't really have, any championship experience. They might be going to the Super Bowl and they might have a chance to win it. We might see a Blake Bortles, Case Keenum Super Bowl. We might see a Blake Bortles, Nick Foles Super Bowl, Alex. How insane is that? If there's one word to describe anything like that, man, it's destiny. So I'm jumping on the bandwagon of destiny.
Vic, listen here, brother. I'm not moving far from destiny. I'm moving far from I'm moving toward the bandwagon of calling your shot. And I believe I've jumped on this bandwagon before, but I just love when people call their shot. Don't you, Victor?
Oh, I'm a big fan.
Big fan of calling your shot. So listen to this. Calais Campbell, the legendary defensive end of the Jacksonville Jaguars, called his shot earlier this week when he told NFL Network analyst Tom Pelissero, I believe is how it's pronounced, and he said, "We'll do whatever it takes. We're trying to win whatever way we can, one play at a time and executing it all. I'll take 2-0 if it comes our way, or 45-42 if it comes our way. As long as we win, I'm happy." So he said it's either going to be 2-0, right, your final score, or it's going to be 45-42. So basically, he said, hey, our defense is going to suck some ass, but we're still going to win 45-42. And that's exactly what happened, Victor. The last couple of quarters, they didn't play so well. 45-42 is your final, and Calais Campbell called it. So I'm jumping on the bandwagon of technically, sort of, not really, but kind of, calling your shot.
You brought this up before the show, and I thought Calais Campbell said exactly, we're going to win 45-42. That's a little bit better. What he said was a little bit better. I just still don't understand why, if you play for a defense play for a defense, right? Why would you project that defense is potentially going to give up 42 points? Have some confidence, Calais. It's kind of sad. Thankfully, though, somehow they pulled out a 45-42 victory. You know what? And hopefully after this, Calais Campbell's going to have a little more confidence going into New England, and hopefully they're going to pull it out. Go Jags.
Go Jags. Indeed, I had the Byron Leftwich jersey on all day, as I said earlier. Go Jags.
I'm going to go put on my Maurice Jones-Drew jersey.
You don't actually have an MJD jersey?
I don't have one.
Yeah, okay.
I don't, but I will order one. I'll order one. On Amazon, probably get here 2 days shipping. I mean, I could probably do it. I get wear it to the game. I'll buy tickets to the game. I don't care. Want to go?
Let's go.
Let's go to Foxborough.
We're going to Foxborough.
We're there.
For Victor at Freezeal.
Why do you say like Foxborough?
I think I said that wrong. I think you're
okay.
right.
All right.
Well, for Victor at Freezeal33, Frezeal33 on Twitter. My name is Alex Strofe at Alex_Strofe on Twitter. And thank you again to Perry Ellis, former Kansas Jayhawk Old Man Star, for joining us today on the bandwagon. We do appreciate it very much. Vic, we'll talk in a couple days when we are joined by the one, the only, Michael Petras joins us on Wednesday. We'll talk to you then.
Oh, that was the greatest ever. The greatest interview ever. Stay tuned, please. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Love you guys.
Take care.
What up, Miss C? It's your boy V Han
and A Tobe 2014.
And this is Stone. Let's go. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. One day I was walking
down the street.
I was really thirsty.
So I went to Pete's.
I had a big glass of water.
Then I had to pee.
So I ran all the way home.
And I opened up the door.
I went straight to the potty.
My bladder couldn't hold it anymore.
I lifted up the seat.
But then I began to pee.
It went from the kidneys
to the ureters,
down to the bladder,
where it all mattered.
Then to the urethra,
where I'll have to release you.
out the urinary meatus.
Then
It exit our penis. Later on that night,
I had a pain that I could not fight.
I was dizzy and I had to throw up.
And my temperature was as high as you know what.
I couldn't take it anymore.
So I had to go to the doctor.
Yeah, I got checked out.
Your boy was about to pass out.
Then the doctor came in
to give me my diagnosis.
Last night I was up until 10.
Worrying about this prognosis.
He said, well, Houston, we have a problem.
And I said, whatever it is, Doc, we're gonna solve it.
I'm about to put down this microphone.
It was a kidney stone. And we out.